fellow American.
Well, I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got.
A man holds in his mortal hand the power to abolish all forms of human poverty and all forms of human life.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
One day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
He says, now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. I suppose we all thought that.
Hello and welcome to As the World Burns. Conspiracy theorists and schizos have been vindicated everywhere because we have finally got a lot, if not probably what we're going to get for the Epstein release out for the list. And wow, it is something else.
Wow.
We're going to go through it here today. We're going to talk about what this fantastic list has to offer for everything.
Every conspiracy theory about the elite is true.
It really is. Everything, satanic worship, pedophilia, murdering people in secret just to keep these secrets covered.
Just the pure, despicable, rotten, evil depravity.
We're legitimately living in hell. And I don't say that as like a way to be like, oh, this is like we're in a sad, depressive state of events. No, we're legitimately living in a realm that is significantly tied to what would be happening in hell. So these elites are doing some depraved, fucked up shit. Like you said, depraved. It's
yeah, and they're like,
crazy.
that's the point.
It is. And
because they're like, you know how people say based?
Yeah.
So that's essentially what they're doing. They're trying to be like as base as possible, just like pure worldly pleasures to the max, to things you wouldn't even consider being a worldly pleasure. But it's like, no, this is shit that elites have been doing since like thousands of years before Christ.
It goes past based, I think. I think based is essentially like as close to woke as you can get, in the sense that woke used to mean
I know
like,
people use based in a certain way. I know how people use it now. But essentially, like they mean like, oh wow, that's so like based in reality.
Yeah.
Real as fuck.
Yeah.
But it's like that's what those people think they're doing. They think they're the ones that are real as fuck for that. They're like, yeah, like we know what the real power is, we know what real pleasure is. We know what really matters, and the shit you guys care about doesn't matter. We laugh about that. They think they're all a bunch of Sigma males.
Well, yeah, I guess so. It goes into like hedonism, I think.
Exactly.
It goes into.
Definitely.
And I think it goes past like a lot of like that into like that hedonistic territory.
I remember reading, because I read about this movie, I never watched it because it sounds horrible. The Serbian film. I read that the guy who made it saying that like he's shining a light on shit that actually happens. And that there's like a lot of crazy fucked up snuff films and weird and like worse shit that's filmed and just sold like that. And that he knows it's real and that he's like shining a light on it.
That makes total sense. No, that makes total sense. That movie is so fucking crazy and fucked up, but it seems like it's something like that would be just based in reality, just off of the current events that we're going through. All right, let's talk a little more about like what actually happened. Like I've got like a whole bunch of things listed down and like written down.
Can we skip straight to George Bush Sr.?
I'll be honest with you, I did want to talk about that first right off the bat, but let me say I'll introduce everything by saying that they released 3 million files. And there was a lot to go through. There was like a couple 100,000 videos, or I think it was 1,000 videos, or like a couple 100,000 documents. It was like photos or something like that. It was crazy. It was like a large amount of stuff, and we basically got a lot of things to go through. it vindicates just the most craziest, like you said, all of the elite conspiracies are pretty much true, and it even the stuff that when you think about is like just like totally wild, it apparently is even more wild than you even imagine.
Yeah, there's shit in there that people weren't even looking for, like we were just saying the George Bush Senior thing. Like, there's so many George Bush Senior haters that like heard this and they were like, "Oh fuck, this is exactly the vibe he gave me. Oh shit, it's real."
Well, you know what I realized too from all this, which I don't know if there's probably a lot of other people that piece this together too, but I think this is a conspiracy that we can check off of the list too, is that humiliation rituals are definitely real, 100% real. And there's a lot of like celebrities and elites that probably were being blackmailed that ended up having to do these humiliation rituals, because a lot of the ones that supposedly were involved in these quote humiliation rituals show up in these files.
Yeah.
Like Kanye West is a big one, and he kind of like, it's kind of funny because he referred to like a whole group of people that turned out to be in the files just in one picture. He had a collage of them and it said baller party. And I thought that was really interesting. It had Bill Gates, Jay-Z. It was one other guy too, but they were all like people that were literally in the Epstein files, except for one dude that I had no idea who he was, but maybe he was. It's crazy because these people that either call this shit out or like know something or are involved definitely go through some shit. But like you said, let's get into the George Bush Senior first, because that is fucking crazy. That to me was the most important thing of this entire like Epstein release, because like going back to World War II, we've had these conspiracies about people who have been abducted and experimented on, and MK Ultra and Project Monarch. And in the 80s, the Montauk Project and all these like experiments involved with people in the Franklin scandal in the 90s and Johnny Gosh. And we've had all these different scandals that connected to like a certain branch of the elite, the Bushes. And they all connected to like satanic practice and pedophilia and all of this crazy shit that's going on now. And then now we have in the Epstein files, supposedly a victim of Epstein's was also a victim of George Bush Sr., which vindicates so many different people if that is true. If that's not just an accusation, if that is legitimately word of truth, that right there vindicates Tracy Twyman, Kathy O'Brien, who personally said that she was by George Bush Sr. Supposedly, she said that she was. Like, she also said that marijuana could break mind control programming. That was another thing that she said. So it's absolutely fascinating because all of these things are out there in the ether, and now we can say like they're kind of been proven true, or at least like referred to as most likely being true. What do you think? Like, that's crazy. Like the elites are probably satanic.
I think there's still just a lot of people at play.
Yeah, and
Whatever
this
Epstein had going on, I think it was just like adjacent to whatever George Bush Sr. had going on.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
I think it's very satanic in some corners, and then it stays like I bet there's a corner that's all just like straight up alien. They're in contact with aliens. They're working on that.
So one of the things that was mentioned is that like there's branches in the CIA and the FBI supposedly that like practice like occult and like black magic, so to speak, is what they said.
Oh yeah.
And like and like to do like but they described it as more like satanic type like things.
Not good.
Yeah.
Not
so
the
like
good.
Yeah. So what I thought when I read that is that probably they were referring to like Michael Aquino or Aquino, whatever you say his name is. And it was probably referring to like did he say that like George Bush Sr. was the one who appointed him to do all that? He was a part of the CIA, right?
Michael Aquino?
Yeah.
I don't know if he was a part of the CIA.
He was a Navy guy, right?
He
Or was he
definitely in the
Army?
military.
Yeah.
Look it up.
Well, yeah, I should. But it kind of brings to light like a lot of that stuff. Like it kind of proves it to be most likely true. So it's kind of fascinating. Let's see. Michael Aquino. What a weird dude. I hate his eyebrows so much.
You know what I think is important to think about is that, you know how supposedly marijuana is like makes it hard to mind control people?
Yeah.
I think that some people still get mind controlled. There's probably many ways to mind control. But I think that en masse, especially within our own country, with like cannabis being like allowed a lot more and that becoming a thing, they're less worried about brainwashing specific people, because they're like more able to brainwash us en masse now.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
So they don't care if like the individual is high because they're trying to, because like their brainwashing involves like trauma, severe
Yeah.
like, literal trauma of all kinds that does permanent
doesn't-
psychic trauma.
Yeah, it doesn't prevent brainwashing from like from watching TV or stuff like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't prevent like advertisement brainwashing or like informational brainwashing. It just prevents like trauma brainwashing. It's just like with PTSD.
Yeah.
So that actually makes a lot of sense. That's probably what she meant by that, Kathy O'Brien, is that it probably like breaks the PTSD brainwashing of it, like the Stockholm syndrome of it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I want to throw this out there too because completely unrelated happened pretty much like the same hour that the Epstein release happened, but Catherine O'Hara died. Rest in peace. Totally unrelated. Died of an unspecified illness, I read. Completely unrelated. Anyways, you want to stay on George Bush Sr.? You want to move to another thing? Because I got a lot. Supposedly, Epstein had a submarine to look for, I mean, we all know that one of the real reasons he had a submarine, but one of the other reasons apparently he had a submarine was to look for Atlantis off the coast of Cuba, which is pretty funny, actually. So that's something we learned. That's not quite like a, Epstein list kind of thing, but I just thought that was fascinating. Let's see.
The Elon stuff is pretty silly.
Oh, the Elon stuff is hilarious because like he's treated like such a joke. To me, like that's like one of the funniest things that could happen to like the richest person in the world who treats everything and everyone else like a joke is that he can be treated himself like a joke. And that to me is I thought that was hilarious. So basically, for anyone that doesn't know, I mean you probably do, but Elon was trying to go to the island super bad. I guess no pun intended there. But he was super down bad for going to Little St. James, St. Thomas, whatever, and was super down bad for like the parties and the girls.
Has he come out and said that this is fake yet, or has he just said that people are going to misconstrue what I said?
That's what he said. He said that people misinterpreted it. So like it's like at a certain point, it's like, bro, nobody misinterpreted anything. Like everybody saw what you were trying to do, and at that point, you're such a loser that you couldn't even Epstein didn't even want to blackmail him at a certain point. He's just like, this guy's annoying. And that's, to me, one of the funniest things that could happen to somebody is that, like, they just get so sick of this guy that, and also it could also be that, like, at a certain point, if you even have like one video of, or even 5 videos of this guy doing something, maybe he's exhausted his worth, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like, at a certain point, Epstein might have wanted to distance himself from some of these people, but then if he needed to use the blackmail in order to get what he wanted out of them, you know what I mean? I think he was trying to do that with Bill Gates, but he got kind of annoyed with Bill Gates with that whole thing, which is kind of crazy what happened there. But yeah, Elon kept trying to go to the island. He even said in parentheses, "girls for the win," which is just like crazy. I don't know. What do you think of Elon after this whole thing? He's definitely like on a what's the word? I guess to use rocket terminology, he's his rocket's falling out of the sky, so to speak. He's not doing too well.
I don't know. Maybe he's just new money and he's like really, really desperate to do whatever he can to get in any
He's
way.
new money. I mean, he is new money. Look at those. Look at how bald he was
Is
when
he
he
new money,
first
though?
got it. Yeah. Well, no. All right. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know. Is he new money? He started
Dad
out
was
with a
rich.
garage. Yeah, but he started out in a garage with PayPal. Like his early days were like sort of humble, like living in like a tiny like suburbia house. But I guess middle class. So yeah, he is kind of a nepo baby. He comes from like a rich family, I guess would be the word. I don't know. I think you know, Elon's kind of a piece of shit. It's kind of amazing to see the downfall of him. It's like he's kind of like Trump in the sense, but he's different from Trump because like Trump like kind of almost gives no fucks to a certain extent about his image. And then you see these rare glimpses of like of Trump's emotional and like spiritual state. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when we were talking about like how he doesn't want to go to hell or he doesn't think he's going to go to heaven or something like that. Like, you know, you see these rare moments like from Trump that like I don't want to say humanize him because he's clearly a
Fire.
and we'll get into that in a little bit. But you see these moments from him where he has a self-reflection, I think is what it is what you see. It makes you like kind of think about like, oh, this guy genuinely knows that he's
Fire.
inside a little bit. Like he knows that he has issues. Whether it's good or bad that he knows that he has issues. I feel like Elon doesn't go through that sort of self-reflection, and like when he paves like a path towards like towards crazy shit, like when Elon gets his sights set on things, he's like in that he paves a path towards that and really tries to impress, I guess. He tries to show off a little bit, but it ends up backfiring almost every time. Like every time. But he doesn't ever have that like sense of self-reflection, like, oh yeah, I fucked up. No, he just keeps moving forward. Even in this whole situation, like you said, like him just being like, oh yeah, people didn't understand what I was saying. Like that's him not taking any accountability at all. And that's what you're gonna see from all these fucked up like weirdos in power is they're not gonna take any accountability at all. I think people are waking up to that too. Like now everybody knows that Bill Gates is a fucked up weirdo. Everybody knows that that fucking Elon is a fucked up weirdo. I mean, we always knew that these guys were. Trump, all these guys. But now we know like even other characters that we didn't even have any clue about. Like I mean, George Bush Sr., we kind of had an idea, but nobody really knew the extent to which things were going on, you know? Oh, Jay-Z, dude. How about Jay-Z? That's a new one.
What's up with Jay-Z?
So apparently back in, I think it was 1995 or 96, Jay-Z apparently assaulted someone in Epstein's mansion. So that's crazy. Jay-Z was in Epstein's mansion and apparently assaulted someone. And when I say assaulted, I don't mean like beat up. I mean the other kind of so it's pretty fucked up, you know?
Yeah.
So we got P. Diddy and Jay-Z. Jay-Z just got found out, and P. Diddy we've known a little bit about. But, you know, those are like two industry titans. And P. Diddy's got his own island. Apparently he don't need Jeffrey Epstein's shit because he's got his own shit. But it's funny that we didn't see anything from him. Oh shit, dude. I know why we didn't see anything from P. Diddy. You know why?
Why?
Because they even said it over the thing that if anything is a part of an active investigation, then they can't release it. So if there's anything that talks about P. Diddy like assaulting or being involved in human trafficking, they couldn't release it because he's still under investigation, isn't he? Isn't he still going through like trials and shit?
Thought he already got convicted.
Did he get convicted? I thought that there was still shit going on, but maybe not. Maybe my theory is completely invalid, but still though, it's something worth thinking about. That maybe that's why.
Sentenced to not enough years.
Yeah, I remember that too. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But Harvey Weinstein was in the files. That's one that was pretty interesting. I mean, we all knew that he was a creep and a piece of shit, but it's kind of interesting that like all these pieces of shit all kind of were around the same circles. You know what I mean? Like they all kind of hung around each other. It was a gang of shits. The world is truly run by sickos.
Yeah, sickos and madmen.
Exactly. Sickos, madmen, and worshippers of Baal.
People, there's sickos and the people who are like allowing themselves to be side by side with sickos.
Exactly. Exactly.
People who are like not even like they become that because they're so passive to do anything about it.
Exactly. And it's kind of I feel like that's where we're at too with like the MAGA cult. Like I don't like to talk too much like shit about like certain political parties because not certain ones as in like, like not saying this or saying that, but like I just don't like to like paint such a narrow brush on like political parties because I think that like Republicans and Democrats and all types of like parties have their issues. Libertarians, Green Party, whatever, the Tea Party, the MAGA group, whatever you are, I think that there's cracks and holes in the organizations that you're a part of, clearly. And I think that the only way to get to that point is to have some kind of corrupt entity or something involved inside of it that you can't see, but is a crack or a hole that people can't figure out. Like, how three-letter organizations tend to infiltrate organizations in order to gather information or sow chaos or something like that. Like if you get to be a big enough entity, then things like that are going to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I forgot where I was going with this whole thing. Where were we at right now?
We talked about Elon. We talked about
Harvey Weinstein.
We talked about how Diddy's not in it.
Oh yeah, Diddy.
Let's
Pusha T.
Pusha T's in it.
Yeah, Pusha T is in the files, and apparently he's a victim's handler of Epstein. So he's kind of like a pimp, I guess. One thing, you know what I was thinking? Could Nicki Minaj be involved in all this?
Possibly. Why not?
You know what I mean? Because she's around all those guys, Jay-Z. Yeah, Pusha T is supposedly a victim's handler of Epstein. That was pretty interesting. There was, Ayub Barak, the leader of intelligence of a certain country, and he considered a certain guy to be a criminal. In actuality, a certain guy that kind of basically helps run the country of said intelligence organization. That's one for anybody that's in the know about who Ayub Barak is. Anyways, that was kind of a funny one. You know what else was kind of interesting? This actually is one that I've so since I've been reading or like involved myself with like looking at like all this like Jeffrey Epstein stuff, I've kind of like been looking at Robert Maxwell as well. Like he's been like the dude that like whenever I like researched Jeffrey Epstein, Robert Maxwell always showed up and was always like the guy who like, cause Ghislaine Maxwell is literally his, wife or whatever. And that's her dad. But like, he was doing a similar thing too back in the 70s, Robert Maxwell as well. So it makes you think that he probably was just doing like, he taught Epstein like everything that he knew about how to do all this shit. But anyways, there was an email that Epstein sent out to somebody. I don't remember who it was. I don't know if it was like ever confirmed or anything like that. But there was an email sent out and it basically confirmed a thing that we, a lot of people were wondering about but didn't fully have the answers to because of it was such a mysterious matter. So like Robert Maxwell famously died on his yacht mysteriously. I think he like supposedly fell off his yacht and died, right? Well, Jeffrey Epstein in his email to somebody, basically confirms that Robert Maxwell was killed trying to extort money from, a certain intelligence organization that we may or may not have already mentioned. And he was trying to extort 500 million to save his business that was going under. And apparently that's why they killed him, is because he was trying to blackmail them, which is kind of that's kind of amazing.
Kind of wild.
That is kind of wild. That right there is like, that's conspiracy history, because like that's something that I've always wondered. Like, did he just like, who killed him? Like KGB was one of the theories about who killed him, because he did a lot of business with the KGB. A lot of people thought it might have been the British royal family, but it wasn't. It turns out it was his own guys. Who would have thunk it? All right. Another thing that I wanted to mention too, because I forgot to mention this earlier, because I forgot to write it down actually in the Elon part. But this is talking about Elon. So there's a certain person that Elon was mentioned in the emails to basically prepare Elon to meet, and her name was Jen or Jennifer. She goes by both in the email, according to Epstein. Epstein like called her Jen and then called her Jennifer. And around the exact same time, like a year or two later, or no, I think it was like 3 years after that email was sent, there was actually a victim of Epstein's, an accuser named Jennifer Aruz. And she basically came out and like said all this stuff about like Epstein and massages and stuff like that. I didn't really read too deep into it, but she is a victim, and it is kind of interesting that there's one specific one named Jen or Jennifer that accused Epstein, and then like a couple years later, and Elon is basically going to get prepared by her, or she's going to get prepared for Elon, so to speak. Kind of an interesting little thing there. All right, I think we should talk about Howard Lutnick next. And this is going to be one of the most trickiest things that I've ever had to talk about, I think, on here. What do you think? Should we talk about like Howard Lutnick and all of his connections?
Yes. Did we not record that when we talked about that?
No, that was last night when we were talking on the phone.
Gotcha. I still say, like, the way he said, I'm bringing these children, here are their names, here are their ages. Like, you don't do that. About your kids.
I know.
Why would you do that?
I do think that is odd. Now that you mention it, the age thing is really weird, and I didn't think about that when I was reading that.
Here's the most detailed information out of everything I'm saying, and specifically about these. Like, it's like,
yeah,
it's really weird.
So the reason why I kind of we talked about this last night, because I kind of wanted to go through this with you, like just as like a dry run last night, to like, give you an idea about what we were going to talk about. And one of the things we mentioned was Howard Lutnick, and you mentioned about like there was an email where he mentions that he and another couple are coming with like some kids. And I did look this up, and supposedly he has kids that fit the exact age of the kids that he mentions.
It doesn't matter if it's his kids or not. Like,
no. No. Now that you say that, I completely agree with you. Like, I didn't think about it from that perspective of how weird that is to say that your kid's age to Jeffrey Epstein, who you most definitely know is fucked up like that. That's like, yeah. That's him. There's a lot of implications.
Especially when he said that he said he met him in 2005, and that he thought he was a despicable person, and him and his wife hated him and never went to his house ever again.
Well, that's funny. So that tells me that the wife is probably involved too.
Yes.
Do you think maybe he was selling his kids too, like, or renting them out?
Could just be that, like, this is the fucked up nature of how these people treat their families. Kind of like how in, like, Game of Thrones,
like an asset.
All the lords use their children as bargaining chips. Like, you could be sent to another part of the world just to live with another family for whatever reason.
That's crazy. Oh, yeah, like Khaleesi.
Well, she had it like the worst.
Yeah, but that's what you're saying. Like that's basically like the idea.
Yeah.
So I get that. Well, hey, so that brings up another one. Is there was this email showing Princess of Sweden, and this is one I didn't write down, but I thought this was pretty interesting in and of itself. And Jeffrey Epstein's talking to this like I think he's like a Swedish ambassador or something like that. And it shows like the Princess of Sweden like reading a book or like drinking like a martini glass or something over like a city. And it's just hilarious. It's like and it implies basically that the Princess of Sweden is was involved with Epstein because it basically the ambassador is like our princess is over here enjoying herself or something like that. And it's just so weird. It's just some
I told you
weird
before that I
weird
think
shit.
that people like Epstein, I think it's entirely possible that they are in a way royalty that we just don't know about.
Oh yeah,
And,
I
like,
think this
people
is
talk about, like,
bringing a lot
secret
of that out.
bloodlines and all that shit, and I don't know
Oh
anything
yeah.
about that. But I can just imagine that there's like families that lay low
Yeah,
and
I
that
don't
they
know anything
all
about that either, but yeah, I agree.
operate under aliases and different names. Like Jeffrey Epstein, nothing, and that he has a real name. That's probably terrifying.
Yeah. I know nothing about like the sacred bloodlines or any of that shit. I know nothing about like the Reynolds family, the Oppenheimers, nothing like that. Um, I've just heard that that's a thing. Oh, but Howard Lutnick, dude, we got to talk about like the deeper shit with him. So,
Yeah.
this is you want me to tell you talk about what I told you last night? You want me to rattle that off real quick, the connection there?
Yeah.
All right, so for anybody that doesn't know, and this is going to be one of the probably this is going to be one of the trickiest probably things I've ever said on here because I've always tried to stay away from this conspiracy. I've said that before, and it actually is funny because I've tried to stay away from this conspiracy for the exact reason that like all of this is kind of happening right now, but that's neither here nor there. But I will say, so Howard Lutnick was actually, if I'm not mistaken, and he would go to like the World Trade Center like every day, like he would go there, show up to his job every day. But there was one day that I guess he didn't show up to his job, and that was on September 11th, and that was just like a weird little coincidence. He had to like pick up his like grandkids from like from school or some shit like that, or his kids or something like that. I don't know. People got to do shit on extremely weird days or circumstances. It happens. But here's another thing about Howard Lutnick is he was next door neighbors with Jeffrey Epstein for like 10 years. I think it was. I think that was like how long it was. And a little thing about Jeffrey Epstein is that he had two paintings in his house that I always thought were kind of funny. And knowing this Howard Lutnick connection, it even makes it even funnier now, especially knowing that he did he was so close with Jeffrey Epstein. And now knowing about this like Bush connection, and now knowing about this Bush connection in the Epstein files, supposedly from one of the victims who was Epstein and Bush's victim, supposedly, allegedly. It makes you wonder. Epstein had these two paintings. So one of them, really famous, it went around the internet. A lot of people saw it. It's Bill Clinton wearing Monica Lewinsky's famous blue dress. Now, whatever. That's kind of like basically like pointing at the person painting or like the camera, you could say, from that perspective. And basically like almost like an I own you kind of thing. But another really funny painting that he had, the second one, it was George W. Bush, old W, the junior. He was sitting down all cross-legged in the Oval Office playing with a couple of paper airplanes, one of them in his hand, and then the other one scrunched up on the ground. And then two Jenga towers that he was playing with. You know how George Bush loves Jenga. he had 2 Jenga towers that were toppled on the ground. So it makes you wonder, like, is there some sort of connection there between Howard Lutnick and Epstein and that whole situation of, you know, I think everybody listening can figure out what I'm inferring from all this, especially given that I've tried to stray away from this conspiracy in the past. But a lot of people think that certain people were actually involved in certain events, and that in actuality, it may have led to us going to a war that we should have never been involved in actuality, because it was set up in order to make it look like someone else did it when it was actually somebody else, if everybody catches my drift. And who knows, it may not have even been somebody doing it to themselves. It may have actually been another country, but it may not have been the country that we were all led to believe. And that's all I'm saying. But that's like kind of an interesting thing about like Howard Lutnick and shit. Here's a thing that's going around the internet, and we can make this a twofer as well, because this first one we kind of we got confirmation of, and I would say it's not as important as the second one, but the first, well, it's not that it's not as important. It's actually just like it kind of confirms something we already kind of figured. Remember Maxwell Hill, the Reddit user?
The Reddit account.
Yeah, apparently, if I'm not mistaken, in the Epstein files, it was revealed that it was Ghislaine Maxwell, but I could be mistaken about that. I don't want to say that and be wrong. But from what I was seeing, I'm pretty sure that was real. But that might have been just like some hearsay. But what we can know for a fact is real, and I thought this was the more important of the two, anyways, because of how much gravity this, I think, has had in our culture in the last 10 to 15 years. The guy Christopher Poole, who goes by the 4chan handle, I guess, Moot. Apparently he's like really like a huge 4chan like figure online, right? That's the idea of it, right?
I have no idea.
Well, apparently he was like part of the reason that a lot of like anti-woke culture came to rise up and like came to fruition online. And it turns out that he a day or two, I think, before creating his 4chan account, he actually met Jeffrey Epstein. And then a day or two after he created his 4chan account, I think he met up with Jeffrey Epstein again, it's kind of crazy. It makes you wonder if like all these culture wars of the last 10 years were designed to get like, say, a certain person like in power, like say,
Fire.
and then lead to him maybe erasing the Epstein files, or like basically trying to vindicate all these pedophiles in power. But
I still just think Fire is just one of the many that he has in his grip, in a way.
No, I agree.
Epstein, again, because he's alive.
Yeah.
Currently has him in his grip.
So there's a...
And I think...
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I think that it's... None of these people are, like, even against each other, in a way. They just kind of... They're all trying to do what they can do for their life to not fall apart, like Epstein's.
I was going to say, much like everyone,
like
in
his
life.
fake life.
Like his what?
Like his... I was just saying that, like, his fake life, as in, like, that identity of Jeffrey Epstein is now dead.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
They don't want that to happen to them.
They don't want their legacies to be completely obliterated.
Yeah.
I get it. They also don't want to get killed also.
I think that's part of why the attitude that he had worked for him. Because, like, he didn't give a shit
Yeah.
what he was getting caught for. Because, like, he was important enough to keep these people close to him anyway. Even though he was so fucked up. And he found the fucked up people. It was like... But also, I think people like... Fire probably thinks he's also, like, this ancient bloodline person who's, like, deserving of being one of the world leaders. and he's probably got his own reason for being like when I see how he acts, it's like he doesn't care what people think about him because he's like truly thinking I'm above everything.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Like, he thinks he's like royalty.
Yeah, most definitely.
Whereas Epstein, it's like he is like royalty, but he's just wearing like this mask in a way and just existing with everyone.
From everything I was seeing about Epstein, I by the way, I'm saying I agree with you as well. To add my own like little perspective too, like everything that I saw from Epstein, especially when I saw his interview that he did, he seems incredibly socially awkward. Like he seems like he doesn't know how to like tell jokes or be like a regular person from what I can see. He seems pretty smart on like in like writing. Not like writing, but like I shouldn't even say that. He didn't seem smart at all from like the emails. But he definitely had like an attitude where he just didn't, like you said, like he didn't care. And at a certain point it felt like this is kind of where I was going with it, is he felt like he kind of bumbled his way there too, like to a certain extent. Like he kind of felt like he got really lucky with a lot of the shit that he was involved in. You know what I'm saying? Like he got really lucky that he even got to this point. And I think in that he was so like bumbling and terrible at what he did deep down, and that he didn't fully feel like he was like the greatest. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think he had that much self-esteem. I think that's why he was also like doing a lot of the stupid, shit that he was involved in, because he lacked control in his own life. So he felt like he needed to have control on all levels of his life. I mean, that's just like psychopath 101, right? Is they just feel like they lack control. So they try to make control in everyone else's lives around them, or like just everybody's life, right?
Sure.
I feel like that's what Epstein was like. He felt like deep down that he wasn't like he probably felt like he didn't. And we can't get into the mind of a supposedly dead man, but I feel like deep down he probably felt like he wasn't good enough, and that led to a lot of like the issues and the insecurities that you see that he went through.
He's not a dead man.
I'm just saying. So I said supposedly. Let's see. There was another thing. Oh yeah. Let's talk a little bit about Bill Gates. I mean, we kind of did, but let's talk a little bit more. So
Jeffrey Epstein and a lot of these powerful people, they're like the celestial dragons.
What is that a reference to?
One Piece.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And in like your own little world, or corner of the world, you only worried about like your problems. That you didn't realize that the people at the top are doing awful things to the rest of the world. And yeah, they're doing it. Now you see it. It's being spread around, the whole concept.
Oh yeah.
People are not gonna have it.
So somebody that I felt like always like had I've always gotten like certain vibes from certain people, and I feel like a lot of this has kind of vindicated my feelings about like those certain people. And one of those people that like none of this makes me happy, but like I said, vindicated. But one of those people that I feel like I've always felt something, I could never pinpoint what it was that I didn't like. But I always felt like I didn't like Bill Gates for some reason. I'm happy to know that my intuitions were spot on about him, because like I've always heard terrible things and felt like there was definitely something awful about him. But now it's kind of interesting, and it also brings up some ideas about like the pandemic that we just went through and everything that he was involved in too. Because one of the big theories about the pandemic, since it happened right after Jeffrey Epstein supposedly hung himself allegedly, is that the pandemic was a cover in order to stave off the Epstein list or any involvement of that. It was a way to prevent stuff like that from happening, or the world to kind of forget about Epstein existing, really, is what it was. So it kind of makes you think if Bill Gates had kind of a heavy hand in a lot of you know, and a lot of different things involved with that. It makes you wonder. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think this is going to be one of our more controversial episodes, to be honest with you. But I think this is it, where everything we're saying is very, spot on. Like this is all shit that is supposedly like, in the zeitgeist that now has been vindicated. Like conspiracy theorists and schizos rejoice because you guys were proven right.
Since the beginning of the Epstein reveal, the Epstein file reveal, even just the Epstein action, like any of that before it took over, people were already joking about Alex Jones. Like, dude, how can you be saying this is a hoax? How can you be saying this doesn't matter? Like, you're right. Like, look what's happening.
Yeah.
It's like, what is he doing right now?
Wait, I haven't heard Alex Jones' take on it. What is he saying?
He could just come out and say, like, listen, for years I've told you all the truth. Some things may have been misleading, but like here, like this, you're seeing how like he could just come out and try to do that, but he's not.
Well, it's because he's definitely bought at this point. He's definitely a limited hangout. And I've said it since the beginning, but I'll say it again. He is definitely put out there in order to make conspiracy theorists look crazy, is what he has always been, in my opinion, and he will always be. And especially after going bankrupt, he's owned. There's no way that he's not owned by somebody, getting sued for like the most money anybody's ever gotten sued for. There's no way that he didn't make some kind of backroom deal with some organization. I'm not going to say which one. And you know what I'm saying? Basically be like, hey, you scratch our back pretty hard and we'll scratch your back a little bit and make sure that you don't end up in prison or have to pay off this life debt. So I think that's probably what happened to him. I saw something about Jeffrey Epstein being Putin's money manager, so that was pretty interesting. John Benet Ramsey. So here's another one that conspiracy theorists have been on for years that we may have our answer. So there's a suspicious looking picture of Jeffrey Epstein with somebody up on his shoulders. And this person suspiciously looks like John Benet Ramsey. Now, when they show the picture straight on, you can't see it because they blocked out the victim's face with the black bar. So it just shows like Jeffrey Epstein just holding up a child over his shoulders. In another photo, you can see the side of the picture, and it looks super, super. And I'll be honest with you, even the outfit was one that like looks similar to like one of the last pictures they took of like John Benet Ramsey, like the same thing. It makes you wonder if it looks a lot like her. It makes you wonder if she was one of Epstein's victims and was actually, this happened. Like she was trafficked and potentially one of those pictures. The picture could have even been like a trophy. So Epstein, if you look at the picture in his office, like he has a bunch of pictures in his office, and there's a picture of him in his office with Steve Bannon. And there's a bunch of pictures just lying around everywhere. And if you look at them, they're all like people that look like they're strung out or like dead or like drugged or just in different like positions where they're kind of looked like they're kind of fucked up. And if you look, there's little tiny black bars on their faces. So they're definitely victims. But a lot of people were theorizing that like Epstein liked to hold trophies and would have these pictures of all these like famous people or like famous victims that he had, and he would have them as like pictures and trophies just like laying around his house in his office. So I'm wondering if that picture of John Benet Ramsey, because why would he have such a big picture of some random blonde little girl that looks like John Benet Ramsey? You know what I'm saying? Why would he have it as such a big centerpiece too in his house? It makes you kind of wonder if that was John Benet Ramsey. It's kind of crazy. What do you think?
It's just so much.
Yeah, this connects a
It's
lot.
just too much. That he just has his hands in everything. Like every awful thing that's happened is connected to Epstein.
It's crazy. This is kind of like conspiracy theory, string theory. You know what I mean? Or string conspiracy theory. You know what I mean? Everything connects to everything in this. Like there's so many connections that just unlock the hidden world that's just all around us that we don't see. That it just is. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's interesting though. We've been saying it for years on As the World Burns. We've only been around for exactly a year, I think, this month, but we've been saying it for years here, you know?
Here at the factory.
Here at the factory, yeah, the factory that pumps out conspiracies. We've been saying it. We've been saying it. Let's see. All right. So another one, there's there's an accusation that Eminem and that Eminem might have assaulted somebody and threatened to kill them with like a knife. This is an accusation. This isn't a this isn't like actually like from like Epstein or anything, but this is like supposedly from somebody who claims to be an Epstein victim. They said that they were assaulted by Eminem at one point in like 2002, and that somebody like held a knife to her and drugged her, and stuff happened. And supposedly it was Eminem. Well, not that held the knife, but that the stuff happened. Same thing. That same person claims that Marilyn Manson was a family friend of theirs and assaulted them in a similar way. I'm wondering if this one though was like maybe like a like that could have. I'm not trying to. And in saying all this, I don't want to put anybody down. Like I want to take all of these pretty seriously, but like it does get pretty wild with some of the accusations in some of the things. So I don't want to get too deep into that, except for the Trump one because that's just like it's pretty interesting. But
just know that like some of these accusations are really, really bad.
Yes.
Really gross.
And
really scary.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's probably true.
A lot of it is probably true, but there may be some people in here who may be a little misled, if that's, do you know what I mean? Like,
I don't.
So like, some of these are just like this one that I'm talking about right now is, it was just an FBI tip-off report. What it is it was some random person who just claimed that they were an Epstein victim and called the FBI and claimed that they were also a victim at one point of Marilyn Manson because he was a family friend of of her father's or something like that, and then claims that they met Eminem at a random camp in like 2002 or a bar or something like that. This might not be somebody that's entirely mentally stable. You know what I'm saying? It might be somebody that might latch on to conspiracies and may have some delusions. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because I'm not trying to put anybody down, but I'm trying to also to play devil's advocate, no pun intended, I guess.
You're advocating for Jeffrey Epstein.
What I'm trying to say is that some of these people could just be like schizophrenics that read about the Jeffrey Epstein conspiracy and they developed delusions in their heads where they were assaulted by some random person in their life or multiple random people at random events, and they started getting it in their head that they were involved in the Epstein conspiracy. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying that that's what this is, but I'm saying or what, because a lot of these are coming straight from Jeffrey Epstein. But what I'm saying is that when we get into the accusation side of it, when it's like a one-off kind of thing like this, like where a random person will say like they've met like 3 distinctly different celebrities in distinctly different scenarios and they all assaulted them and that they were involved in this, what we do know is a crazy conspiracy. it does make you I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to like, I want to lend credence to all these accusations too. But that's what I'm trying to say is that they are accusations, I guess, when it comes down to it. One of the oh yeah. Well, actually, so we should probably get into the Trump accusations, honestly, since we're getting into them. But let me just rattle off some random stuff too that I learned over the past few days. So because of the whole Bill Gates thing, Jeffrey Epstein ended up basically blowing off Bill Gates, and because he blew off Bill Gates kind of got pissed and decided to ban him on Xbox Live for like he literally banned him forever. So he could never use Xbox Live after that, which is kind of funny actually. That's like kind of a
We don't know that's why.
I think it's why. It was literally like 4 days. The ban was like 4 days after like their last conversation where Jeffrey Epstein was basically like fuck off. So it seems
Maybe Jeffrey Epstein sent him a really nasty Xbox message.
maybe, but it was pretty funny timing. Speaking of Bill Gates, I'm not saying that this is or isn't the case, but Bill Gates was in China at a certain time, and there was an email sent to somebody, and Jeffrey Epstein said, "Loved the torture video," and he said, "Where are you? Are you okay? When will you be back?" Or when will you be around, or something like that. And this guy goes, "I'm in China. We'll be back in May." And if you look at that exact same time at who was in China when that email exchange was happening, Bill Gates was in fact in China. He was actually.
That's terrifying.
It is terrifying.
Love the torture video.
That's exactly.
You think Bill Gates is like torturing people?
I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying like that is an interesting little connection.
You're saying that it's evidently true that Bill Gates is torturing people?
Allegedly. You're saying that it's evidently true.
It'd be crazy if you were saying that.
It would be crazy. It would be absolutely nuts if that was happening, if Bill Gates was torturing people in China.
Like what everybody thinks about Taylor Swift becomes true about Bill Gates.
Dude, honestly, like we rag on Taylor Swift so much here, but like now that like I've made so many jokes about her, I feel like she's not a Satanist, but like it's so.
Didn't she do an episode of her podcast? And it was about one of the Epstein victims, and then pretty much come out and saying like, "Yeah, this shit's fucked up, guys. We need to wake up."
No, I didn't see that, but I'm gonna have to watch that. That's cool.
That was on my bingo card. It's something that I'm not sure if I should scratch off on my bingo card.
Well,
because it happened like while we were making them.
I mean, I feel like a couple things happened while we were making them, honestly. But yeah, I get what you mean. I didn't see that happening. Oh yeah, you know what's funny? Yeah, you're right. The Taylor Swift thing was on your. You even said Taylor Swift. I'm pretty sure.
Nah, I mean that'd be crazy.
I think you did. I thought you did, dude. Oh, I'm gonna have to go back and watch that episode and track like your like thing. I'm gonna have to like make out like a response thing for that. Like that way I can keep up with like both of our bingo cards. But yeah. Crazy torture video, all that shit, wild, weird. All right, what else do we got?
Bill Gates is torturing Chinese people.
Apparently, and Jeffrey Epstein does like him young, according to Trump. So who knows how old the person that Bill Gates is torturing? Oh, one of the things I wanted to say. So, the supposedly the 4chan post of Epstein, of them pulling Epstein's body and replacing it with a body double. That person, that Epstein post was like supposedly was tracked and subpoenaed or something like that. The 4chan post. So that was pretty that was kind of an interesting little thing there. Epstein victim blows whistle, child killer Bono abused dozens of kids in Africa. U2 frontman Bono has been accused of abusing a 10-year-old girl and a 12-year-old boy during a philanthropic visit to Africa with Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton in 2002. Wild. Jeffrey Epstein sends a heli for Elon Musk. Let's see.
We should wrap this up.
Ah, shit. All right.
Yeah. We can do a part 2 though. Let's do a part 2 because there's 3 million files.
This is the end to our first part of our first Epstein episode, but I do want to leave one thing with people to think about for this episode. Just as like a thing, just to ponder until the next episode. You know what I mean?
I'm listening.
So there was an email to Anne de Rothschild from Jeffrey Epstein. And the email was in, I think it was, it is 3/18/2014 at 3:40 p.m. And it reads, Ukraine upheaval should provide many opportunities